this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a tree skirt, and I've worked a bobble stitch and this gorgeous fur trim around it. So the yarn that I've used is Tuff Puff. It's a super bulky weight, and this yarn is from We Crochet, and it's really thick and it's a roving style yarn. I'm using the color white, but it's really more of a nice cream color. And I'm using Fable Fur. It's also super bulky and also from We Crochet. The hook I'm using is a 12mm. This is a Hook Nook hook. I absolutely love this hook. I love the length. It's so easy to work with. It's a 12mm, and I'll have the links also for these, and you can also purchase them from We Crochet. And I just wanted to mention with We Crochet, they do have some great deals on shipping. So for Australia, if you spend $100 or more, you get free shipping. For the UK, let me just check for sure the amounts for you. So UK, 40 pounds and over is free shipping. And for Canada, it's $75 and up is free shipping. And for the US, it's $35 and up is free shipping. So if you spend those amounts, you get free shipping. So that's great to know. So to begin, we're going to work foundation half double crochets. So let's start out with a slip knot, put that on the hook, tighten it up. So you're going to chain 3. And now we're going to work back in the first chain, but we're also going to go under this little loop here as well. So yarn over, go through, and then you're going under there as well. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1. That's for our foundation chain. Yarn over, pull through all 3 to complete our half double. So I've put my finger here on the foundation chain because that's where we need to go back down. So yarn over, and then you're going back to where we made that foundation chain, and you're going under both loops. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 3. Yarn over, go back down to where we made that foundation chain, go through the 2 loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1 for the foundation, then yarn over and pull through 3. So when I initially made this, I did 30 stitches, but I actually found that a bit big for around my tree skirt. So I'm just doing this part of the video to alter that. I'm only going to do 15, and then we're going to do an increase on the next to bring us up to the 30 stitches, and then that will follow the rest of the video. But if you're looking at the video thinking the rest is much bigger, it's because I started with 30 and just found it didn't fit around the tree as well as I would have hoped. So I'm changing this up to start out with only 15. So I just want you to keep working until you have 15 stitches, and you can count them back just by looking here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to complete the rest off camera. So there's 15. So that's going to go really tight now around the base of your tree. And what you're going to do is chain 1 and turn, and we're going to work 2 single crochet in every stitch. And then that's going to increase us up to the 30. we're just adding 2 into every stitch around. So now this is how it's going to look. So now I'm going to finish here, and you're going to jump into the next part of the video where I started with 30 stitches, but it's okay. Just I'm going to show you the next row after the 30 stitches where we start adding the bobbles in. So I'm just letting you know that so you don't get confused why this opening is smaller. When I put it around my tree, I was a little disappointed. I wanted it a little bit tighter. So I've gone and corrected that part of the pattern, and I think you'll be really happy with the end results. Now what we're going to do is an increase row. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to work a single crochet in the first stitch. We're going to work 2 single crochets in the next. 1 single crochet in the next, and 2 single crochet in the next. We're going to repeat that all the way along. So you should be ending with 2 single crochet in that final stitch. And we've increased by 15 stitches, so you should now have 45. And it's looking like this. So now our next row will begin making some bobbles. So chain 1 and turn. We're going to work a single crochet in the first stitch, a single crochet in the next stitch, a single crochet in the next stitch. So the first 3 stitches, and then we're going to make a bobble. So yarn over, go through the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go back down through the same stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go back down through the same stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we have 4 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 4. Single crochet in the next 3. We'll do a bobble again. So the repeat will be 3 single crochet and then a bobble. Okay, so once you've got 4 on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 4. Single crochet in the next 3. So let's just run through that bobble slow one more time. Yarn over, go through the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go through the same stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go down through the same stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, 4, yarn over, pull through all 4, and then single crochet in the next 3. And I'm just going to flip this over so you can see how these bobbles are looking. And they pop up. So we always work our bobbles on the wrong side. So just continue doing that repeat along, and I'm going to meet you up near the end. So I'm coming to the end. We've got 2 stitches here remaining, so I'm going to get another bobble in. And then just 1 stitch. Okay, so we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to do an increase again. So what we're going to do is always we'll do an increase on our row that's not a bobble row. Just makes things a little bit less complicated. So this time our increase pattern will be a single crochet in the first, single crochet in the next. So we're doing 2 single crochet and then we're doing the increase. So we put 2 single crochet in the next. So then we do 2 single crochet, 1, 2, and then we do an increase, 1, 2. So again, a single crochet in the next, a single crochet in the next, and then 2. So we'll increase another 15 stitches again. So I'm going to work that all the way around and I'll meet you at the end here. Okay, so again I ended with 2. You should always be ending with 2 with your repeat pattern. So now I've increased up to 60 stitches and this is how it's looking. And now we're back to the wrong side, so we'll be doing another bobble row. So we'll chain 1 and the bobble pattern will work the same. So we'll work 3 single crochet, so 1, 2, 3, and then we'll work a bobble. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go through, pulling up a loop, pull through 2, yarn over, go back down through. So you're going back down through 3 times, pull through 2. And always when you've got that 4, you can yarn over and pull through all 4. And then we'll work 3. And then a bobble again. So now I'm going to run out. I'm going to show you how, let's just pull that back. I'm going to show you how to attach a ball. Okay, so I have my yarn needle for bulky yarn. This is the Russian join method, and I kind of like it. Using it. You could use a thumb join as well. I think this is a little bit better. So what you want to do is you want to join the yarn like this. So this is my tail here, and then this is my new ball over here. So what you want to do is take your yarn, put it on your needle. So here's your tail. You want to weave it back through the yarn, just kind of keeping it going through sort of the center of the roving. You can go through it lots, however much you think. Okay, so I have a bunch there. Now I'm going to pull that through, then I'm going to pull that down, just like that. We're going to do it to the other side. The roving's really quick and easy to just kind of hide it. And you'll have a stitch or two that's going to be a little bit thicker, but it's okay. What I found is if it ended up being on a puff, you maybe only need to go through twice instead of 3 times because it's going to make your puff a little bit bigger. And pull that through. And then you just pull that down. So it's a little bit thicker in these areas, but it's okay. So now let's go back on here. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm to a puff here. So yarn over. See, because I'm sort of landing on a puff, and I could go back. Let me go back and do one more. We'll see how the puff looks. It's a bit bigger, so see, you could almost only go through the twice, but it's fine. I'll leave it with the 3 times. And then single crochet into the next 3. So you can see this one's a bit bigger, but if you only went through twice, it would just make it a little bit smaller. So yeah, having a nice big yarn needle makes that really quick and easy to do. And it's a nice, good, secure join. You're not going to be worrying about that. So we're just, again, going to do this repeat pattern around. 1, 2, 3, and your bobble. So I'm going to complete that now off camera. So this time I'm ending with 4 stitches, and I don't want to end with a puff because doing the single crochet after the puff really helps to kind of just finish it off and close it. So if you end with 4, I just want you to do a single crochet in the final 4. So depending on the row, it can be different. If you're able to squeeze in, if there's 5 stitches left, then do a puff and a single crochet. But if it ever ends that you're with 4, then I just want you to complete it with 4 single crochets. Never put a puff in that final stitch or a bobble. Chain 1 and turn. So this is kind of what it's looking. You'll notice some of the puffs will be a bit offset. Some of them will kind of go on top of each other. I don't really worry a whole lot about that, where they're landing, because sometimes they're offset, sometimes they're not. So I'm just keeping the pattern simple, doing every 4th stitch as a bobble and every other row as an increase. So now the increase pattern will just keep adding 1 extra stitch before the increase as you go. So this time we'll work 3 single crochets before the increase. So 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. So 3 single crochets and then an increase. And this is how we're going to work the tree skirt. So you're just repeating those rows. We're always starting off with 3 stitches and then a bobble. It's just the end that will change up as you go. So just follow along with your pattern or just the increase pattern that I've shown you, and I'll show you how many rows that I did in total before adding the fur. Now you can keep really going as big as you want or small as you want. So if you had a smaller tree, you could do a smaller skirt, or just keep increasing for a bigger skirt. If you wanted to use a different yarn, if you wanted to use a worsted weight yarn, that's fine too. You would just need to keep increasing as big as you want. It's obviously going to work up a lot quicker if you're using super bulky weight yarn. But I found I used a total of 11 of these balls, and that it gets pretty heavy at that point. So I didn't want to go much bigger than that. What I did is I increased up to the row before the last bobble. So I worked up to having 150 stitches, because each row we increase, we go up by 15. So I kept going up to here, and I found at that point my tree skirt looks a little bit wavy. So at that point I stopped increasing. I didn't do any more increases. So I went ahead and did the final bobble round, and then I did 2 rounds of single crochet after that final bobble round, and I didn't do any increases because I found, like I say, my skirt was looking a little bit wavy. That means that I'm increasing quickly So I needed some non-increase rows to help smooth out how the skirt is going to lay. So you can kind of judge by yours. If your skirt starts like pulling up, wanting to curl up, it means that you haven't done enough increases. When it's looking wavy and not laying flat, it means you're increasing faster. So all you need to do is when you're finishing off your skirt, do non-increases so that your skirt starts laying out flat. So if I measure that, we're looking at about 13 inches before starting the fur. So when you're starting the fur, what I suggest you do is when you're changing your color, you're going to finish with your single crochet, and instead of yarning over with the roving yarn, you're just going to bring your fur in. So you're going to yarn over with the fur, and then you're going to chain 2. And when you work the fur, you're going to work half double crochets rather than single crochets. I like to kind of crochet over the ends as I go when I'm doing that. And I'm just showing you this here as a demonstration. So to do your half double crochet, you're yarning over, going through the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through all 3. Now the fur is going to be harder to work with because you can't really see your stitches. So you really need to be familiar with your stitches to do this. Your half double. So you're working the fur like this. You're just going through every stitch around. So when I was working the fur, I was able to work 3 rows before doing any increasing because I was just trying to get the tree skirt to lay out flat. So I worked 3 rows without any increases at all. So I worked a half double crochet in every stitch, 150 stitches for 3 rows. On the 4th row, I did an increase because I found that if I wanted to make this a little bit thicker, and I found if I didn't increase, my tree skirt was going to start wanting to curl upwards. So I did another increase. So when you get to that increase, if you need to increase sooner, I suggest you do that. Again, you want to lay your tree skirt out and see how it's laying as you go. And if you alter your length, you're going to want to pay attention to this too. So if you're finding your tree skirt is still wavy, then don't do an increase. If you're finding that you need to do an increase, it's starting to curl up, then do an increase. So how my increase pattern went, by the time I got to 150 stitches, I was increasing into the 9th stitch. So to do an increase at the fur section, I want to do an increase on the 10th stitch. So what you'll do is you'll work 9 stitches, do an increase in the 10th. So do 2 stitches in that 10th stitch. And then that keeps you with the same increase pattern we've been doing. And this will be easy if you're following along with the pattern to see when you're going to increase. The pattern will be written exactly as I've made mine. If you need to make any alterations, you can do that with these tips I've given you. So on the 4th row of the fur, I increased in every 10th stitch, and that then will bring you up to 165 stitches. And I did 1 more row, so I ended on the right side of fur for a total of 5 rows of fur. And again, you could make that, you could make your fur bigger if you want as well, but I found this was a nice amount. So I'll just give that a measure for you to see the amount of fur. So about 4 inches of fur. So with our 13 we're looking at about 17 inches in total here. Okay, so I'm gonna work through with you how to do the edging for our buttonholes. So I've already gone across on this side here. So to do this, it's 3 rows. It's a border of 3 rows. You want to join on that you're on the right side. So when we're doing this is our side where we'll attach our buttons. We just want it nice and flat. There's no buttonholes on this side. So we're joining on and we're working 27 single crochet evenly down the side of the tree skirt, chain 1 and turn, work back up 27, and then finishing back down 27 stitches all on the right side. This side is worked almost the same except we're adding buttonholes, so that's a little more complicated. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, instead of joining up to the top, we're wanting to join on our right side, so we're joining down on the fur for this side. And you're just wanting to evenly work. We need 27 stitches for our button holes to work out evenly. So we just need to make sure we space these out so that we get 27. So I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to just crochet over my tails here across the fur as we go. So I've worked across 7, and now we need to get 20 up this section here. And that's basically, if you go into this first one here, it's basically working into every sort of space you come to, and it should work up even. So there I have 8. Okay, so I've worked up 27, ending up at the top. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we'll begin working now our buttonholes. So we're going to do a single crochet in the first. Then we're going to make a buttonhole. So we're going to chain 1 for our hole, and we're going to skip a stitch. Then we're going to work 3 single crochet. We're going to have 3 single crochet stitches between every buttonhole. So now we'll chain 1 for the next buttonhole and skip a stitch. So chaining 1 and skipping a stitch for every buttonhole. Then 1, 2, 3. Chain 1, skip a stitch. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1 and skip a stitch, and I'm just going to keep working that down the rest. So I've worked 3 singles, and now we're coming to 2 stitches, which is how we should end, because we want to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the final. Chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to finish off by working back across. We're going to work single crochets in the single crochet stitches, and we're going to work single crochets in the chain 1s. So these are the buttonholes here. So work a single crochet in the first, a single crochet in the chain 1 space, then a single crochet in the next 3, 1, 2, 3, and then in the chain one space, a single crochet. So we're ending here on the right side, so we have our nice edging. So I'm just going to work that all the way along. So you should have 7 buttonholes worked along there. And then what we're going to do is we just want to put the buttons to match up with the holes. So we're just going to sew all these buttonholes. Now you're going to need maybe some worsted weight yarn or some embroidery thread, something that's finer to sew these on, because this yarn is going to be way too chunky to get through. You need a yarn needle that's going to fit through the holes of your buttons. And I'm just probably going to use some cream worsted weight yarn to seam these on. So I'm going to sew most of these off camera, but I'm just going to show you here. We'll get the one, and you can even go by stitches. So we know the second stitch is a buttonhole, and then 1, 2, 3. Then the next will be a buttonhole, and so on. And that will help just to eyeball. You can also try and line them up this way as well, but that just gives you an easy gauge. So just like that, and then all you need to do is knot on this side. You can weave those ends to hide them, or just give them a trim. You're not going to see any of that. I have a bunch of ends I need to weave, so it's going to go like this. So I used a total of 11 balls with just a small amount left, and 2 balls of fur, and I have about this much left off my fur ball. Okay, so here it is all buttoned up. That is the finished look. So you can decide with your tree, you could have this in the front with the nice wooden buttons, or you can put that to the back of your tree. And this just allows you to open it and then close it so that it's completely finished. So again, however you want to put it around your tree is fine. I think it'll look good both ways. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell to stay updated on new videos and tutorials. Thanks so much.